Hi, hello, and welcome into another episode of Craven Some Raven. We're back here in studio, aka my shitty apartment, and in today's episode, we're gonna be doing top 10 wide receivers. I think I already did one of these, but I updated the list. Things have changed. I'm a different person. I'm older, wiser. And I've seen these players a little bit more, changed my list up quite a bit. And this is obviously geared towards the Ravens, more so than any other team. Why? Because it's Craven Some Raven. So these are things that I'm looking for in receivers for the Ravens. So some things that I looked for, obviously hands are number one. And I looked for separation and speed, because I think Lamar doesn't throw to people who appear covered. That could change, but as of what I've seen so far, he doesn't. And then blocking ability, overall swagness. I do the eye test. I don't really look at numbers. When I see somebody, do I think, hey, they're going to be good? I can't pinpoint it to one thing, but it's if you see something on tape that makes you go, yeah, that's nice. Where you go, ooh, that was sick. Some shit like that. I don't want to be watching your tape. You're not going to be on this list if there's a lot of plays where you're like, ooh, buddy, come on, man. There's a lot of those plays, you're not going to be on the top 10. So this list is going to be different than a lot of people's list. I don't scout by highlight tape, so that's why a lot of people, their lists are a lot different, because I think they just watch the highlights. And I mean, if my list was just off highlights, this list is way off. But I'm looking for consistency, game to game, even if they're not getting the ball, even if it's not their best statistical game. Was there a reason for that? Were they a detriment to the team, or did they help the team? Are they the guy? Are they getting looks on third down? Just things that you want to see in wide receivers. So I'm going to be doing this 1 to 10, not 10 to 1, just because, I don't know. You count 1 to 10, so might as well make your lists like that. So, starting this off, my number one receiver in this draft for the Ravens, I have A.J. Brown, Ole Miss. Now, here's a guy, as Chris Collinsworth would say, who's a baller. He is consistent, has excellent production, and did it up against the top competition. He did it against SEC defenses. And if you can do it up against SEC and produce the numbers that he did, you should be the top wide receiver. I know everyone's looking at his teammate DK Metcalf, but we're going to get to him a little bit later. But we're talking A.J. Brown and reasons why he's my number one wide receiver. He's consistent. He's an excellent route runner. He's so smooth. And honestly, he could have had more production. Ole Miss quarterback and coordinator should be fired. They should not be on the team anymore, because what they did to A.J. Brown was just terrible. So many times I'm watching his tape where he does this route. I don't know what it's called, but he'd go like 8 yards and basically stop and not even come back, like have to just look at the quarterback. The dumbest route, and he did it consistently. And he was basically trying to make touchdowns. He was given lemons and trying to make touchdowns. It's the wrong ingredient. That was the wrong route to run. Get this man on slants, because when I was watching his tape, he was consistently open. Like almost damn near every fucking play, he was open, or at least had some separation. And once he gets the ball in his hands, watch out, man. He's a home run hitter. He's big, physical, and people bounce off of him, and he makes people miss, man. He does kind of like this stop, and like he stops so hard, his whole body like bends in half, and he just jukes people out of their socks. And he just did it so consistently against top competition, like I said, that there's no reason he shouldn't be on the top of everybody's list. There's no questions about his game. When you watch him, there's no questions at all. Like when some of these other players, it's like, well, you kind of have to kind of make a stretch. It's like, well, maybe he won't do that in the pros. No, A.J. Brown is legit. He's going to be the best wide receiver in this draft. Another thing, he can play pro pro baseball. So if you want a guy on your team who can be a leader in the community and like a sports figure in Baltimore, get him on the Orioles. Fuck it, man. Have him hit some home runs because apparently that's what he's good at. He's pretty good at smacking the ball. And it's not like a regular football player trying to play baseball where they're just trying to smack the shit out of it. Apparently he's got a smooth swing. I haven't really seen it, but I'm sure he does. So that's why he's my number one. I just think he could be the top guy on our team and a top guy in Baltimore where his name, A.J. Brown, and Baltimore would be synonymous. He would be the guy. Oh, you know A.J. Brown? Like, A.J. Brown. Of course we know A.J. Brown. This is Baltimore. So, next on my list, my number two wide receiver for the Ravens. People are going to hate me, but I have Paris Campbell, the Ohio State gadget guy. Now, he had pretty good production. They didn't throw to him, not nearly enough. He's not the most polished route runner, but, watching his tape, he has elements that go into each route, and he's done it, and he's athletic enough that you just got to string it together and maybe ask him to run different routes. But the reason he's my number two guy is that gadget ability and his speed. His speed is elite and deadly. Yeah, he ran that fast time, and then you go to the tape, it's like, well, yeah, he is fast. Ohio State, all of their players are fast. It's kind of a requirement. But watching his tape, he'll get the ball. Next thing you know, he's 60 yards down the field, outrunning people who have good angles, but he just outruns those angles. And when it comes to this offense and Lamar and a wide receiver, you need guys with speed. I really want guys who defenses have to game plan for. Yeah. The defensive coordinator of the other team is going to stay up at night thinking, man, how the fuck do we stop these guys? Because Paris Campbell is fast enough and would put enough fear into the eyes with his jet sweeps or his short passes or even his long passes or catches, where they're going to be worried about him because with Lamar, the wide receivers, they're going to get a lot of one-on-one looks, and I think Paris Campbell can eat up those one-on-ones. He's not a typical wide receiver, and he doesn't have quite the production as A.J. Brown. That's why I have him second. But I think his upside is a little bit higher than A.J. Brown's. His floor is a little bit lower, but his upside is a little bit higher, just because he's going to be taking eyes off of Lamar, which is just going to allow this offense to be prolific in the run and pass. If the more people teams are scared of, like the more people on your squad that people are scared of, the easier it's going to be to game plan. Because they're going to show their hand. If they're going to have to double cover two people, if they're going to have to double cover three people on your offense, then you can always just find who's going to have the matchup. And that's something I think the Ravens surely need. It's about time that they finally got a player in Lamar Jackson where it scares defensive coordinators. Now, let's go ahead and get a compliment to him in Paris Campbell in the receiving game. So, next on my list, I have N'Keal Harry. I was thinking going maybe someone else ahead of him, but I like N'Keal Harry, his size, his number one ability, his contested catches, and his route running, his ability to block. He's got some mean, nasty blocks and some ridiculous one-handed highlight reel catches. If you're going off of straight highlights, he should be one or two. But we're not going off of highlights. We're going off consistency. And there's just a few too many times while watching his games where he just couldn't uncover off of a guy. And it wasn't like a speed issue. It was just he kept doing the happy feet. He was like Jamal Lewis in the backfield sometimes, when trying to make a break on his route, and it just took too long. But I really like his run after catch, his yak yards. Man, it was super impressive. So many times I was watching him, And he starts on one side of the field and just goes all the way to the other side and basically turns it into a punt return and makes people look foolish. People bouncing off of him cutting people, not shanking people, but juke moves, cutting on a dime. Ooh, getting thirsty. Hold on one sec. Need some water. Yeah, and a lot of people think N'Keal Harry is going to be the best out of this class, and I see why. I understand why. That's why he's my number 3. But I just think what these other two guys bring to the game, they bring something specific. Or maybe not with A.J. Brown, not something specific, but with Paris Campbell, he brings something specific. And N'Keal Harry, he's just an all-around good receiver. Just I don't think he's as high as A.J. Brown. He went up against Pac-12 defenses, which everyone knows, kind of meh. So he's going to be a little bit lower. But he did have a good combine, just as good as DK Metcalf. But DK Metcalf just blew the doors off. And, N'Keal Harry, just as the blowers were still blown off, he just went through them. So people didn't really take note of it. But he had a great combine too. Yeah, it's just there's some more questions in his game than some of the two guys that I had above him. So, number 4 on my list, I have, you're probably going to hate me because it's not a different name, but I have a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, wide receiver out of Stanford. Now, when it comes to the big wide receiver making contested catches, the jump ball, I think he is the best at it. He doesn't have the top-end speed, but he has short area quickness. Like getting off the line, he makes people miss. He throws some jukes on you. He gets open like at the last second. It's just after his breaks or after his cuts, he gets caught. Like corners have the speed to catch up to him. He doesn't have the ability to pull away. But in his cuts, he can make people miss. And at the top of his route, or not so much the top of his route, when the ball's thrown to him, when he posts up, he goes up and gets the ball. He is the most elite at doing that in this draft. He comes from a basketball background, and it really does show because he just has that natural ability to catch the ball while posted up. So many times that he's just posted up in the end zone, and it takes like 3 seconds for the quarterback to get him the ball. And that's quite a long time for the cornerback to try to get position on him. But he's so good at boxing out and getting his hands out that he comes down with the ball. And even if he doesn't catch it, he's causing pass interference calls. So many times I was watching his games where it was like 3 or 4 a game where he's getting pass interference calls because the cornerback got caught. He's also hand fighting, but he's just so good at it that he doesn't get caught, which is very impressive. And normally I don't think the big wide receiver who makes contested catches make it in this league. At least history tells us that they don't. But I think J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, it will transfer because he's already so elite with his hands. And that's the thing that people have to get better at when it comes to that type of receiver. Because most of the time in college, the big-bodied receiver, they're just bigger, stronger than their competition. They don't do it with technique. But J.J. Arcega-Whiteside does it with size and technique. So I think it will transfer. And, he had that crazy, crazy game. I forget who it was, but he put up like 200-something yards in the passing game with like 3 touchdowns. So the upside is there. Could be a true number 1. So that's what I like about his game. Yeah, the only questions are his speed, like his overall speed. Like people catch up to him. It's just what it is. So next on my list, I guess this is number 5. Middle of the ground. I have Andy Isabella, wide receiver, UMass. He's the smaller white receiver that everyone now covets, or at least the Patriots do. But watching his game, man, he's a burner. He's fast, quick, short area, long area, I guess, or overall top end speed and short area speed. He he gets open, he catches the ball really well, and he is, for being a small guy, excellent after the catch. He bounces off of people, and the question is, can he do it up against bigger competition? It's like, well, when he went to the Senior Bowl, he was the best wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. He just had the best game, and you could see why. He was just so good at bouncing off of people. Very, very impressive. And I don't see why it wouldn't translate, because we've seen players like him translate before. And I just really like his ability to get open and use his speed. And it's similar to what I was saying before about speed scaring people. He could cause people to... Sorry, there's something outside my apartment I'm staring at. One of my neighbors doing something weird. I think he's going to take tons of eyes off Lamar, because he will do those jet sweeps, and he is always going to get open. And like I said before, Lamar likes to throw to people who appear open. And I am just a huge fan of his game in general. Just, the smaller guy coming out and playing big. We need a good Italian stallion on our team. Isabella. So, next on my list, people are still going to be mad because it's not the names that they want. I have Marquise Hollywood Brown, wide receiver, Oklahoma. Now, this is the big play specialist. Small, fast, great route running, excellent hands. Did it on the best offense, which, could that be a negative because his offense was so good? So he was more likely to be open? Or was he more open because that's just him? Was that offense just that good because of him? The knocks on him are his size. Isabella's short. Marquise Brown's a little bit shorter, not as short as Isabella. But he's a little bit more slender. And the question is his durability, because he is injured. He didn't go to the combine and show off his speed because he had an injury. That's not part of his game. It's not like he has injury concerns, but it's just, will there be injury concerns up against bigger guys? Will he take that huge hit and all of a sudden, well, no more Marquise Brown. But, he does have the lineage. He is related to Antonio Brown, so he's probably going to ride that name into the dirt. So he's got that going for him. But, just elite speed, great separation. He is going to be open, especially in the Ravens offense where he's going to get one-on-ones. So I could totally see the Ravens drafting him and him being one of the best rookies, just because, taking a slant to the house or taking a long bomb. Size-wise, he's not really like a number one type guy. But, that's not as important, but it's just a factor, when it came to, like, A.J. Brown being the number one, just his size and overall ability. He is, like, a can't-miss guy. Marquise Brown, he could be a miss just because of his size and his slender physique, kind of scaring teams and draft pundits alike. But I really like his game. I really like his explosiveness, his route running ability, like I said. And just like I've been saying, that ability to take eyes off Lamar. He would scare defensive coordinators with that speed, because speed scares people the most, Or if you're just able to catch the ball elitely, is that a word? Which I don't think some of these wide receivers can do. So mostly looking at speed. So with that being said, finally, what am I on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on my number 7 receiver. Ravens fans rejoice because it's finally the name you want to hear. It's Hakeem Butler, Baltimore kid out of Iowa State. The 6'6", long and lanky wide receiver who has some upside. He has the possibility of being the best wide receiver in this class. I just had too many questions when it came to top 10. Like when it came to pitting these guys up against each other, I just had a few too many questions. Why did he not produce more? I've seen him go and make the contested catch, but I also seen him drop. a ton of easy catches. And I'm just scared. I don't want Brashad Perryman again. Brashad Perryman was more injury concerns, but he had drops coming out of college, and he continued to have them in the program. You don't just fix hands. That just doesn't happen. It's kind of a natural thing, and his hands, I don't think, are the best. But, like with Lamar, he's going to get a lot of one-on-one looks, and he can beat that one-on-one just because of his size. He's just excellent, fast, big, mean. He's subtly really good after the catch. Once he gets the ball, it takes a few people to bring him down. And I think he could scare defensive coordinators because of that size and speed. But it's just those missed catches, man. It just happened too much where it concerns me. I'm okay with a few of them, but there was just too much. I saw a stat where it was like 16% of catchable balls he dropped, which is huge. That's not good. The Ravens led the league in drop passes. They can't be doing that. No more. Especially if they're not going to be passing the ball a lot. They can't be dropping them when they finally get them the ball. Take some more water. And Ravens fans really like this kid because he is from Baltimore, and because a lot of fans when they're looking at wide receivers, they don't watch the tape. They watch highlights. They watch highlight tape, which is cool. It's fun to watch. If it was just based off highlight tape, he should be up there 1 or 2 or 3. He should be top 3. But I'm not doing that. Consistently, he just didn't do it. And even last year, he wasn't the number 1 wide receiver, which makes no sense. He was stuck behind some other fool, Lazard, who exactly? Just more questions than answers when it comes to his ability versus production. And it concerns me. And then, so at number 8, I have the other Ole Miss wide receiver, DK Metcalf, who most people see as the number 1 receiver. I understand why. That big playability, huge and fast. Like my sex. No. So DK Metcalf, he just did like the one route, which is cool. But it just concerns me. First of all, his injuries. No. That like takes you all the way down my list. Like, he should be out of the top 10 with those injuries. But because he was so elite at that one route, at that jump ball, long ball, and people not being able to tackle him, he still has to be on this list. But the best ability is availability, and if he's not on the field, what's the fucking point? He's the best that never could. Hold on 1 second. I think I ordered some DoorDash, and I think it's about to be here. Man, I fucking love DoorDash. Shout out DoorDash. This episode is brought to you by DoorDash, because you know what? If you want to feel like a king, get your food delivered to you from whatever restaurant you want, basically. Man, it's go fetch me my sandwich, squire. That was disgusting. Go to the dungeon. So good. Because that's what kings do. They have food delivered to them. And my poor ass, I can have food delivered to me. It's the little things, man. I can sit here, do a podcast, wait for food to come to me. Or I could just have food and groceries, but I just don't have any groceries. So, they're still not here yet, but I just got the text that they're showing up, so should be here any second. But yeah, DK Metcalf, I just have so many concerns. But, he could end up being the best in the league. Like, not just in this class, like in the whole league. It's just too many fucking concerns, and it scares me, and I have to put them low. And when it comes to the top 10, I think it's these 8 guys that I already mentioned. A.J. Brown, Paris Campbell, N'Keal Harry, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Andy Isabella, Hollywood Brown, Hakeem Butler, and DK Metcalf. Those are your top guys. That's who everyone's talking about. And it makes sense because they are the best. But after that, I think it's just question marks. After that, it's what do you like the most? What do you see? And a lot of people have others as their 9 and 10, but I don't. I'm doing things differently because I'm actually trusting my eyes and my ability to review the tape. I'm no pro, but I got a good eye test. When it comes to stats, I don't give a shit. I'm looking at eye test. So, with that being said, okay, and I'm back. Well, for you, I've been here the whole time. It's basically time travel. But got that DoorDash, ate some food, hella delicious. So, I'm gonna get right back into things where I left off. I believe I was on number 9. So, my number 9 wide receiver in this draft is my guy. Should be your guy too. I'm hyped on him. You should be hyped on him. Is Anthony Ratliff Williams. Now, no one's talking about this guy, but every time I watch his tape, I'm shocked, surprised that no one's mentioning him as one of the top wide receivers. I guess he went to UNC, so that's not really a football school. They didn't have the best competition. But, man, this guy was UNC's offense. He has excellent hands, great route running ability, can get separation, good with contested balls, easy catches, great run after the catch. Like, he's tough to bring down. That's why they used him as their kick returner and basically all over their offense. He even threw the ball for him a few times, like on trick plays. So you get him on your team, especially the Ravens, pitch him and then have him throw it. He played quarterback in high school, so he can sling that rock. He's got a tight spiral. It looks nice coming out of his hands. But as just a receiver, he is a number 1 guy, and I don't know why no one else is talking about him. I have him at number 8 here, just because I haven't seen anything come up in the tape that says, "Oh God, that ain't good. That wasn't good." Nothing shocked me. The thing that shocked me is that no one's talking about him. And since no one's talking about him, either he's going to go in the 6th round, or it's just everybody in the draft world has just been sleeping on him. But actual scouts in the NFL know about him, and he ends up going in the 4th round, 3rd round, one of these guys. I just really liked his game and everything that he brought to the table on that offense. So many times he would take a jet sweep and then take it to the house or, get 15 yards. There's only one negative jet sweep that I saw out of the games that I watched. And then, that's because he was hit right as he got the ball. He is just an excellent receiver and has, I think, number 1 receiver ability, especially for somebody who is perceived to be a later round guy. And I think more people should be higher on him. And I just don't know why. It really just baffles me. It's mind-boggling. My mind is trapped in a bottle on this prospect because no one else is talking about him, but yet I'm so high on him. So I gotta trust my eyes and trust what I see, and I think you guys should really look into him and check him out. So, and tell me if you see what I see. Really good wide receiver who is a top 10 in this draft as a wide receiver. So number 10, the last wide receiver that I have for my top 10. I was struggling with this one, who I put in the last spot, but I ended up going with Hunter Renfrow out of Clemson. Now, just looking at him, there's no reason he should be top 10. He's too small, too slow. He's quick, got that short area quickness. But there's no reason he should be top 10. But he's just got excellent hands, and I don't know if he's just like the luckiest player or just the ball just falls his way. I don't know. It's like that old school Disney movie, Luck of the Irish. Like, he must have some shamrocks or something. Maybe he's a leprechaun. He kind of looks like a leprechaun. But Clemson just went 3rd and Renfrow all the time. And you could see him doing it with a running quarterback. He's excellent when the play breaks down, finding an opening, and when the ball is just thrown up, he somehow comes down with it. It's fucking incredible the way that he does it, because it's not normal. He doesn't have the skill set to do what he has proven that he can do. And so I don't see why he couldn't continue to do that, because he's shut up all the haters throughout his college career. I don't see why he couldn't do it in the in the league, especially going up against some of the top competition, being at Clemson, going up against the best teams, in big games, and having big games in big games, in gameception, in the championship or in the playoffs, just having huge productive games up against top competition. And some people think he's going to go undrafted, some think he's going to go late rounds, or he could go like third round. You just don't know with this prospect. There's just so many questions about his size and who he is. But if you're just watching the tape, he gets the ball. And even in the Senior Bowl, he did it. Went up, there was just like an errant pass, and out of nowhere, here comes Hunter Renfrow, and he gets the ball. And that's what he brings, just this shocking ability to be able to catch the ball. So that's why I have him as my number 10. Some people who are outside my top 10 that other people seem to always have in their top 10s are Deebo Samuel. And I really like Deebo Samuel for his run after the catch, but just watching a few of his games, it's just he dropped the ball a few times and he can't seem to find some separation against certain people. And so it's just like nothing wowed me. It didn't look top 10 worthy. And then another guy a lot of people are high on is Kelvin Harmon. And he's pretty decent. If you watch his highlights, yeah, pretty good. But watching NC State's games, all of the other receivers were just as good that are on that team. So it's like you're watching him, waiting for Harmon to get the ball, and then all of the other receivers are making great catches and making good plays, and it's like, well, why is this guy seen as some like top 10 guy when his teammates are doing just as well? Like Jakobi Meyers, like the first game I watched on Kelvin Harmon, Jakobi Meyers was just going off. And if you're talking, some people are talking first round for him, and he's being outshined by his teammate who is going to be like a 4th or 5th round guy. It just doesn't make sense. The value doesn't make sense. And I don't understand why people are so high on him. Maybe are they just not watching the tape? Like, am I crazy here? Like, because I'm not seeing what everyone else is seeing. So with that being said, that's going to do it for my top 10. Let me know what you think. You can comment on YouTube, put a comment, like the video. I'm on all podcast platforms, not all, but, most of them, the big ones. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube, I guess. So like it, comment, rate it. Everything you do does help. I get most of my downloads from iTunes, but for whatever reason, I think you have to rate it. Please, if you're listening on iTunes, please give it like a 5-star rating, because I think that's what helps me like get higher on the list. Because if you search, if you search Baltimore Ravens podcast in the iTunes app, I don't even show up, which is fucking stupid, because there's like a Lions podcast. There's even a Cowboys one. It's how are they considered more of a Baltimore Ravens podcast than me? All I do is talk Ravens. So please rate it. It helps. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send me an email. If you want to get in touch or you want me to answer a question on the podcast, I will do that. I will get back to you. I'm not that busy. So you can send me an email at csrpod@gmail.com. That's spelled CSRPOD. So thanks again, and go Ravens!